जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय।
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So welcome all the wonderful youth to our Prerana festival, and we are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Nand Dulal Prabhu. And the topic is very unique today, JOMO, joy of missing out. So Prabhuji will be guiding us in how to find this joy of missing out from the common people. So just to have a brief introduction of Prabhuji. Prabhuji has completed his BTech from mechanical engineering. He has done in the mechanical engineering and he passed out in year 2000. And during his college years, he came in touch with Srila Prabhupada's books and he came in touch with devotees and he joined Krishna consciousness, started practicing. After passing out from his college, he worked with Tech Mahindra till 2005. And after that, with a desire to serve the humanity and preach Krishna consciousness by teaching Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic scriptures, he joined temple and started serving full-time in Sri Sri Radha Gopinath temple in ISKCON. And during this period of 2000 and 2005, he attended many programs in the temple and he got really inspired. And as a result of that, he joined in February 2005. And since then, he is involved in many services. Currently, he is involved in conducting youth preaching in very prestigious KEM Medical College and in Mumbai. And apart from that, he conducts congregation program in Shivaji Park in that area. He is currently the member who takes care of the education board in ISKCON Chowpatty, one of the very, very important branches and departments of our temple. Currently, he is the chairman of the managing body of our temple, that is called as TCWC body. He is the chairman of that body currently. And also, he is giving his services in a satellite center of ISKCON, that is in Baramati. So apart from that, Prabhuji is very, very well known for his very shastric and prolific, preaching, very intense practitioner of devotional service, spreading Krishna consciousness, inspiring thousands of youths. So we are very fortunate to have Prabhuji with us. So let's welcome Nand Dulal Prabhuji in our traditional style by very, very loudly chanting 3 times. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Let us all thank Gauravilas Prabhu for his kind words. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So special thanks to each and every one of you who have come here for attending this short talk on the joy of missing out. All of us have heard about FOMO, the fear of missing out. But in Krishna consciousness, we don't talk about anything that is fearful. We talk about everything that is inspiring and that is positive. So we have this talk on the joy of missing out, JOMO. Actually, when we are organizing this program, we understood that there is also a similar program for young girls. It's called Chetana. And usually it is on another day. But then today it was same day. So that program was ending around 7 o'clock. And we also had important Deep Dan. And then we also had Prerana. So to make sure that all of you don't miss out on the joy of offering Deep to Radha Gopinath, we postponed this program to 7:30. Usually Prerana starts at 7 o'clock, right? So that was the first JOMO that all of you understood. You had the pleasure of offering Deep to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Actually, I'll start with my own story. Around 1996, the Pentium chip was launched. So some of you are nodding your heads, some of you understand this, some of you may not understand this, but these are like good old days when the desktop computers were very slow. And there was a revolution called the Pentium chip. And around 1996, these Pentium chips were launched. And the desktop computer, the simple screen, keyboard, and the input device, right? The mouse. This simple thing transformed into a multimedia device for the first time. Now, some of you have never seen a computer which does not play audio, which does not play movies. But we have seen that. So it was such a major revolution. Suddenly there was sound coming from that small screen. There were 2 speakers next to it. Speakers were usually associated only with sound systems. But around 95, 96, all that changed. Yes. Then there was something called as pagers. Around 1.5 years they were there in India. Now it's an extinct species. But small little devices with a small little screen. And anyone who wanted to contact you could phone a central call center and drop a message to one number, and wherever you are in Bombay, you'll get that message. So some emergency messages would come and then you can call back and go ahead, right? After that came the cell phones. So when the cell phones were launched, they were not free calling. Now it's unlimited calling, right? So in those days, it was 16 rupees per minute for calling and 8 rupees per minute for receiving. So many people would not even receive calls unless it was from a very important number. So we have seen all those times. You know, cell phone calling was very costly. So then the next thing was fast laptops. Sometimes they had more power than desktops, but very slim and trim. And then came the age of very low-cost cell phones with touch screens. The initial cell phones which I mentioned, 16 rupees calling, 8 rupees receiving, those keypad cell phones. Nokia. So now then we had Android phones, super fast, slim. I know of some phones today, the top brands, which have more RAM than laptops. I'm not sure whether you are aware of that, but some of those cell phones have 16 GB RAM and all that, and some of the high-end phones are capable of shooting 3-hour entire commercial movie on that small cell phone. The processor, the RAM, everything is so fast and everything is so advanced, right? So in this way, a lot of technological advancement happened in front of me. Now what is the latest thing after all this series that I mentioned? It's AI, right? And everyone is so much excited about AI. And there are two ways in which AI can be used. One is you write a letter and then you submit it to AI for polishing it. Take out some grammatical mistakes, replace a few words with very nice, attractive words. And another way to use AI is you tell AI, please draft a letter for me. Yes? So which way is better? Anyone? Yes, so some of them are very honest, and I'm really happy about it that, in front of Radha Gopinath, we don't lie. So they say, the better way of handling AI is tell them, please draft a letter. The only thing is when you ask AI to draft a letter, there are no emotions there. It's full of the best vocabulary, the best words, but there are no emotions. And just maybe 7 or 8 months since the most high-end GPTs were launched, different are there in the market, there was a study conducted recently by Harvard University, and they found out youngsters who are using ChatGPT or other AIs for the second function, the one which most people said this is the better use of AI, that actually they are getting dumber. It's making a serious impact on the brain because no longer there is a need of processing. There is no longer need of thinking. There is no longer a need for visualizing. There is no longer a need for creativity. You mention the situation, you mention from, you mention to, you mention please write a letter and out comes a letter. So there is no function, there is no activity happening in this part of the body. The rest of the body is being used. But then this part is actually supposed to be the most important part, and people are getting dumber. I remember around 98, 99, one very popular bank in India for the first time launched ATMs. Before that, there were no ATMs in India. And my generation was part of that changeover. So I remember the students, college students, could submit their iCard and get a free ATM card. In those days, ATM cards were charged, but college students could get a free ATM card. And the minimum balance for everyone else in that particular bank, the first bank to launch ATMs in India, was 5,000 rupees minimum balance. And for students, it was 500 rupees. So all my friends, they took ATM cards. And what was the advantage of ATM cards? The actual word ATM stands for automatic teller machine. But this bank, they said, ATM is not automatic teller machine. ATM is anytime money. Night you want it, afternoon you want it, whenever you want it, money is available. You know what happened? Everyone from my generation took those ATM cards and used it for anytime money. I'll tell you the other side of it. The other side of it is, we stopped planning. Now we are traveling So some money will be required for food, some money will be required for purchasing the ticket, some money will be required for some emergencies. So before ATM cards, we used to plan. Where are we going here? So how much money is the railway ticket, this, that, how much duration, so how many times food and this and that. What happened is, suddenly we lost the ability to plan out things. So technology has this one side of helping us, but it has, for some people, taken out creativity. For some people, it has taken out the art of planning things. Recently, there was a app launched which says, just like I was talking about anytime money, this is anytime grocery. Within the blink of an eye, you can get grocery. Now, for some people, it's like a big thing, very nice. I don't need to plan. Whenever I want a coconut, I get it. Whenever I want spices, I get it. But you know what is the other side? The other side is, again, no planning. This weekend, some guests are coming. So what all do I need? Depends on the menu that I'm going to cook. So do I plan the menu then? Because Saturday afternoon, if guests are coming, and Saturday morning, I need to plan. I can plan. And if it's a South Indian menu, whatever is required in South Indian menu, I can order it within the blink of an eye. If it's a Chinese menu, I can get it in the blink of an eye. Can you imagine the person who's planning for a feast for the guests has lost the art of putting their heart into that cooking and actually thinking, my mother is coming after a long time. My sister is visiting after a long time. What is the most favorite dish of my sister? What is the most favorite dish of my brother who's coming for Rakhi? My father is sick and wants to visit the nearest hospital, and so he's coming. What was the dish that I used to cook for my father when I was a young girl? All that planning has gone. Why? Because even if somebody arrives at the last moment and you plan a menu at the last moment, all the groceries are available, right? So it's very interesting that yes, technology has its own advantages, but it matters a lot how we use the technology. Otherwise, very soon, scientists are saying the only part of the body that is undergoing evolution is the thumb and this finger. So it is said that the way we are using the thumb and this finger, another 2000 years, this finger is going to be this fat with a lot of muscles, and this thumb is also going to be this fat with a lot of muscles, and these three fingers are slowly going to get extinct. So that's what we use, right? We don't use anything else. So if this is about the externals, wonder what will happen inside here. Probably some black chana size matter, right? Gray matter, sometimes there's something there inside. So we could be headed for a disaster, and we need to be careful while using all these technological tools. So one after another, this product is launched, that product is launched, this campaign, that campaign, fast, better, right? And every year there's a big brand of cell phones which keeps launching different cell phones with one number more, right? And in just 1 year, they're convincing lakhs of people that something that was the topmost just last year has no value today. Just 1 year back, if you check out the newspapers, they say, this is it. This is next gen. The camera here is the next gen, everything else is next gen, and in another 364 days, yes? Not much of our body changes in 364 days, but that phone, which was next gen, there was nothing else that could compare it to it just last year, is completely outdated today. And I'll tell you something. This is really facts, because even I also don't lie in front of Radha Gopinath. There are young boys who don't have time to come for Mangalarti on Janmashtami day. There are boys who have never come for Mangalarti even on their birthday to take blessings from Radha Gopinath. These young boys stood from night 11 o'clock outside the shop of this cell phone at BKC for attending Mangalarti. Because the first darshan cannot be missed. First time the salesman opens the door and takes out that shining product which is going to revolutionize humanity in the year 2025 right now. Yes, because next product is going to come in 2026. how can you miss the Shringar darshan of this product? And if you have any, fear of those who are bald-headed, sometimes there's an accusation that those who are bald-headed lie. Yes, you can actually check out the technological search tools that you depend on. And search if young boys spent the night out waiting for Shringar darshan. This is real. So, at one point of time, they show that on the world there was an aborigine culture. What was aborigine culture? It was all about pleasure hunt. There were no schools those days, right? No schools, no colleges. What was life meant for? Hunting. Yes? You had spears, you had knives, and you had clothes that will protect you from the rough environment in the forest. And what was life meant for? Hunting. What is life meant for? Defending. Right? When I look at the world today, I don't see much of it has changed. Today, entire life is based on the hunt for pleasure, is it not? Yes. The tools at that time for hunting were spears and knives, yes. And today the tools are technological tools. Which Android version do you have? Which the other OS do you have? How many MP is your front camera? How many MP is your rear camera? How many consecutive apps can your phone run? Well, you seem to not even have a phone. You seem to have a tab. Wow, that's really advanced, right? So it's all about the hunt for pleasure. The tools may have changed, but the quality of life, as far as my limited vision goes, has not changed. In those days, in the jungle, there are some games. Some species, they mark their area of influence. And how do they do it? The dogs, they pass urine. And the dog will say, this is my area. And no other dog can enter. When I look at gang wars that are happening today, every gang has an area, right? Now they may do it with another liquid that is usually there in their hands, but that's how they mark that area, they mera area, right? And sometimes there are games in which, some of the males of a species do strange things to woo the females, attract. So the peacock, we like the peacock. Yes. Why does the peacock spread its fan? It's not to entertain you. Yes, just in case you didn't know. कितना अच्छा है मेरे लिए, क्या क्या हो रहा है? It is to attract the female, right? And I have seen young boys dress up, not like peacocks, but sometimes like cocks, just to attract on some rose day. How is it different? And sometimes, there are these games of showing your superiority. So, the lions will fight amongst themselves to show how I am a greater lion than you. And sometimes we may have our own ways of showing off how I am superior to you with the help of maybe some degrees from a better college. Yeah. But basically the mood is, these three games that I mentioned, this is my territory. You should not enter my territory. And I want to impress this person, and you don't try to impress this person. And third is, I am superior to you. The way in which we play these games may have changed. But how has the nature of this world changed? Prabhupada would say people would run on their legs, and in the modern times we run on 4 wheels. How is it different? Dogs, when they fight with each other, they show their canines, they show their teeth. And today, 2 nations, when they fight with each other, they show their guns. You dare not attack me. How is it different? So, in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, there is a very nice chapter called The Forest of Material Enjoyment. And in case you are one of those types who like to read interesting analogies, then you could read this. Every single animal or species that is available in the forest is compared to modern city life. It's a very elaborate analogy that runs into 2 chapters. But what is the mosquito in the forest compared to modern times? It's a very nice thing to read. And then you understand how life has not changed. We just want more and more, but we are not actually getting it. So overall, when you look at life around in the 21st century, you can see three kinds of people. The first kind of people is, they almost seem to be born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They know how to speak in a very attractive way. They are born with a very beautiful face. They somehow are born with a lot of intelligence also, so they crack almost all competitive exams also. So they almost seem to have success written in their kundali. Anywhere they go, they're successful. Looks, beautiful. Speech, attractive. Marks, high marks, and so on. And sometimes you wonder, why am I not part of that species? There seem to be another group of people who something somewhere has gone wrong, not attractive to look at. When they speak, they are not very attractive. In the exams also, they don't get much marks. So then you feel, this people, they're always battling against the odds. They're always struggling to climb just one level above in the ladder of success. Every step on the ladder of success is a challenge for them. Have you seen these two kinds of people? Yes. And when you look at these two kinds of people, you wonder, where am I right now? So we keep hearing that money cannot purchase everything. We keep hearing that. We keep hearing from wise people that the most richest person is the person who has maximum things which money can't buy. There are things which money can buy, but there are things which money can't buy. And if somebody has maximum of those things, then that is the richest person. We keep hearing all that. But how many of you, when you read all these things, and then when you look at real life, you feel, yeah, this is a good sentence to hear, money can't buy everything. But there seems to be a good correlation between money and success. There seems to be a good correlation between money and how popular you are in the college. Is it true or is it false? You can see that there are people who have all the fancy gadgets and people seem to hover around them like bumblebees around a flower garland. Sometimes of the opposite gender also. So, there is a thought that comes, am I missing out on something? Is it that I also should have been born in some rich family with a very attractive face, with intelligence built in, and then I could have just conquered the world? In my job, I would have been the most popular person. In the college, I would have been the most attractive person. Amongst my friends, I would have been the most sought after friend. Is that what is life meant for? So how many of you agree that you have seen these two categories of people and sometimes you wonder what is happening in this world and why am I not there in the first category? Now I'm going to ask you a very serious question and please reply honestly. As we are witnessing these two groups of people, we also sometimes come across one or two persons, not people, who are genuinely warm-hearted. They are not rich, they are not poor, they are warm-hearted. They may be rich, they may be poor, but they are warm-hearted. So sometimes we meet one or two persons in our life who are genuinely warm-hearted, who are genuinely caring, who are genuinely inspiring, who are genuinely selfless, and who really seem to touch not the intelligence and not the wallet, but the heart. And when you meet these people, that actually increases the confusion much more, because initially the confusion was very simple, rich or poor. But now the confusion is, does money actually matter? Because finally what strikes the strings of the heart is not the money. What actually strikes the strings of the heart is when somebody genuinely calls you, when somebody genuinely cares for you, when somebody genuinely looks forward to meeting you. It's calling you, when are we meeting, when are we meeting? And the restaurant where you'll meet may be a very hi-fi restaurant, maybe a simple ordinary restaurant, but the point is somebody out there in this big crowd actually cares for me, actually looks forward to meeting to me. And then you understand, maybe life is not meant for just thinking, why am I not in the first category? Why am I there in the second category? But actually life is meant for missing out on that confusion and actually trying to understand how do I reciprocate with somebody who is genuinely caring for me. Till the time we are in the confusion of trying to search our place in the first two categories, we may not have time to actually think and reciprocate on how to reciprocate with the third category of people. How many of you feel you have met somebody in that third category? Yes. And when you meet somebody of that third category, there may be one or two, whereas the people in the first category may be a lot and the people in the second category may be a lot. But when you met that single or two or three people in the third category, you actually got into a bigger confusion. Because it was all about money till you met the first two categories. But now you get to understand money shines, money glitters, money attracts the eyes. But genuine qualities of a human being, they do not attract the eyes, they attract the heart. How many of you feel, yes, matters have become worse after you met the third person, is it not? So actually, if we don't talk about this, we will be in FOMO. Prabhuji, I don't have money, I don't have that latest gadget. But when you enter this third confusion, how to reciprocate with somebody who genuinely cares for me? How do I, sometime in the future, become somebody who genuinely cares for others selflessly with a warmth in the heart, irrespective of whether this person has money or does not have money, is attractive or is not attractive, is Mr. College or is not Mr. College, is healthy, is not healthy, whatever it takes. Jo bhi hai. But I genuinely want to be like this person who cared for me irrespective of whether I failed in the exam or whether I stood first in the exam. Conditionless love, conditionless care. This is a much greater anxiety than anxiety to get more marks, than to get more money, than to become more beautiful, than to become more popular on Facebook, is it not? So, if we want to miss out on the fear of the first two categories, then we will have to enter into the fear of the third category. And that's why, overall, if I can really honestly share with you, it's all a question of choosing, it's all a question of priorities. In one mall, one day there was some short circuit, and in one corner where there was a closed section, there was a small fire. And then alarms went off, and what happens in a polished mall when the alarms go off? There are these water sprinklers, they got activated, water started, right? So that section in the corner of the mall, it got wet. तो चलो evacuate, right? That's what they do. So चलो निकलो, सब वो सामान वहाँ पर गीला भी हो गया. And then they saw that many people, they saw that it was just a small fire. तो इतना भी कुछ हल्ला गुल्ला करने की जरूरत नहीं थी. So they waited. तो हो गया वो fire, पानी आ गया, खत्म हो गया. So because so many customers are waiting, the manager took a decision, allow these people. Fire has gone, हो गया ना भी खत्म. चलो आ जाओ. So one person like all of us, innocently he walked into the mall. He wanted to purchase a pair of socks. So we went to one socks pair, he picked it up. He saw the price tag. It was 16,000 rupees. So he said, maybe my spectacles need to change. Maybe it is 160, but kabhi hota hai aisa. So he went to another pair of socks. 17,000 rupees. This time he checked it. He checked with multiple socks. It was all in the range of 16,000 to 18,000 rupees. He said, this is too much. This is looting. So he said, let me check with other parts of the cloth section. He went to a necktie. The tie was for 26,000 rupees. He said, good, I am not in an office where they force ties. He checked some other ties, 24,000 rupees, 26,000 rupees. He said, my God, this is too much. And as he was moving out of the mall, thinking कि अरे मुझे तो मेरे पैसे का कुछ मिला ही नहीं, he saw one very nice attractive jacket, a blazer. He happened to look at the price tag. It was 250 rupees. That FOMO turned into JOMO, joy. So he purchased it. He said, थोड़ा बगल में भी देख लेता हूँ. He checked another sweater there. The sweater looked very costly. It was for 75 rupees. He took that. How many sweaters and how many jackets would you have purchased? He's saying a lot. Actually, he wanted to say the number of socks that I wanted to purchase. तो जितना socks के लिए पैसा लेके गए थे, वो सब sweaters और jackets में. So he had this huge bag, 5-6 sweaters and 5-6 jackets. वो socks पहनने के लिए गया था वो, right? And then he came to the checkout counter, and checkout counter woman is saying, दिखाओ, price tag लिखा, बराबर है वो price tag. उसने नहीं कुछ गड़बड़ नहीं किया था उसने. He also used to come to Radha Gopinath temple. So he said, okay, 250 rupees. Jacket for 250. You got confused. Second jacket, 250. तो 2000 रुपए में 4 जैकेट और 4 स्वेटर लेके चला फास्ट. He said, I must have chanted extra rounds. But this, the seller raised an alarm. Stop, something is wrong. Right? Manager को बुलाया. तो बोले क्या हुआ? बोले अरे स्वेटर देखो कितना 250 and jacket was for 160 and all that. Check it out. This person went inside and he found out when they evacuated it, जब गीला हो गया सब सामान तो they all dumped it, right? So what happened in that whole thing? Now the tags got exchanged, and because the customers were waiting, they said, "अरे चलो सामान लगाओ वापस," right? So then somebody dump it, they put the tags fast, so देखा ही नहीं किसका tag किसको लगा रहा है. So actually now you understood the story, right? So sometimes in life we have exchanged the tags. Not that technology is bad. Not that the first category is wrong, the second category is wrong. Not that the third category is something divine. They are all possible for all of us. If we decide, we can become rich. If we decide, we can become poor. But if we decide, we can also become selfless, warm-hearted, caring, and actually extending ourselves to each. It's all a question of priorities. So what has the modern media done? Modern media has done a selflessness, caring, warm-heartedness है ना, इसको 200 रुपए का वैल्यू दे दिया. एक्चुअली जैकेट है वो, एक्चुअली महंगा स्वेटर है वो, उसको 200 रुपए का वैल्यू दे दिया. और ये सॉक्स है जो पैर में पहनते हैं हम लोग, उसको क्या वैल्यू है? उसको 25,000 का वैल्यू दे दिया और लोग खरीद रहे उसको. And people think what matters is how much you hurt people, how sharp you are with your tongue, how successful you are in hurting others with every word that you speak. That will determine how tall you rise in life. Whereas all of us, I'll tell you something, the dead, hard criminals, even they, if you ask them, sometimes they are very lonely. When you ask them, they're saying, actually what I'm missing is a good friend. Their whole life, they hurt people. The whole life, they slaughtered people. But at a time of loneliness, they are not looking for daggers. They are not looking for revolvers. They are not looking for guns. They are looking for friendship. So, very important for us to define what exactly is happiness. There is this book called The How of Happiness. It is written by a person called Sonia Lyubomirsky. So she writes, I allow people to define their own version of happiness. But in the how of happiness, she's summarizing it. Actually, happiness is a combination of frequent, positive emotions plus the sense that your life is overall going good. So there should be a surge of emotions on a frequent basis. At the same time, an overall sense that my life is going in the right direction. So sometimes we may be sitting in a train that is going very fast, but if it is going in the wrong direction, then we become uncomfortable. Right? So one time in a flight, there was an announcement. I have some good news for you and I have some bad news for you. The good news is that we are traveling at twice the speed of sound. I said the bad news is we don't know where we are going. Right? So happiness is not just about that moment. Happiness is also about the overall direction in which your life is going. You should be comfortable with the life that you are leading. So based on different inputs, we have different definitions of happiness by different categories and qualities of people. Some people feel that it should be an immediate, short-term feeling. Immediate kuch aayega, so that is happiness. Second, It should be leading to a psychological surge of dopamine. There's some chemicals that are released, so it should lead to happiness. Uh, Sometimes people feel that there should be a person with a cheery disposition. उसको देख के खुशी लगनी चाहिए. That is happiness. Fourth, it should be sometimes be based on sheer physicality and sensual stimulation. Something good for the eyes, something for the nose, something for the ears. That is happiness. Some people have defined that much beyond sensory stimulation and physical happiness. It is all about the feeling of possessing and having control. So, His Holiness Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, in one of his books, he writes, there is gross sex and then there is subtle sex. Gross sex is when you enjoy on the bodily level, and subtle sex is you don't enjoy on the body level, but you control people under you. The fact that I am responsible for the lives of 200 people below me, he says, it gives much more enjoyment than the physical sex. So when you are possessing property or when you are possessing and controlling people, that also gives rise to a very subtle level of enjoyment. That's also one way of enjoying happiness. Much deeper is when your own capability rises and you understand that now I am more capable, maybe in terms of intelligence, maybe in terms of physical power, maybe in terms of intelligence, the ability to crack competitive exams sometimes. So if you get less scores in a competitive exam repeatedly, and then you become more smarter, then you revise and all, and then again when you're cracking the exam, you get more marks, you're happy, right? So what increased? Your capability increased. Sometimes it is related to more increase in satisfaction. At a much deeper level, happiness is sometimes defined by a few people as higher interpersonal connectivity and harmony in friendships. It's not about sensual stimulation. It's not about control people. It's about now I feel more connected with my friends and there is more harmony when I talk with my friends and deal with my friends. And then sometimes some people, extremely rare, but they also feel, am I actually living in the moment? Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. So how does Krishna describe somebody who's advanced spiritually? He does not have shok for the past, lamentation for the past, na kankshati. He is not just daydreaming for the future. आगे ये मिलेगा, वो मिलेगा, और पीछे जो हुआ उसके बारे में रोना. And what happens in the meantime? The present slips out of your hand. So it is said, the conditioned soul is like a bird. And this conditioned soul is always flying. And what are the two wings? One is lamentation about the past, and one is hopes for the future. But what happens in such a situation? Because he's not focusing on the present, he gets shot down by destiny. He's not careful about the present. So sometimes people say, happiness is not about sensuality, happiness is not about sexuality, happiness is not about possessing. Happiness is about actually living in the present, not crying over what has happened and not having false hopes about the future. Actually investing every single moment that we have today for self-improvement. Instead of comparing and competing with the rest of the world, comparing and competing with what you were at 8:20 yesterday evening. Yesterday evening 8:20 and today evening 8:20, let's call it version Friday and version Saturday today. Is there any difference between version Friday and version Saturday of yourself? Has any little bit of positivity, any good thoughts, any self-improvement increased in the Friday version of yourself and today's Saturday version of yourself? If that has not happened, then these people say, I'm not happy. I want to become a better version of myself. I want to improve myself. So these are, around 8 definitions of happiness that different people give. There is an author called Dr. Edward Diner, and he has written a book called Actual Happiness. Believe it or not, we are having a discussion maybe 1.5 hours, but in the West, people have gone deep into this. There are researchers understanding what is happiness. There is something called as oxytocin, and this is called the happiness chemical. So they have found out anytime we become happy, there is something released in the body called oxytocin. And this research was triggered by trying to understand how to make man happy. And after inventing this around 10 years back, actually they thought life is just easy. Whenever you feel sad, just put oxytocin, right? But it didn't work out that way. You know, some chemical reactions are one way, they are not two way. So when you become happy, oxytocin is released. It's not that when you put oxytocin, you become happy. Right? So, this person is called Dr. Happiness. Please don't search for him right now, but after the lecture, no issues. So, it's Dr. Happiness called Edward Diner, and he has done so much research on happiness. He's saying, happiness just is not about feeling good. It has to feel good for you, and it has to feel good for society also. So if somebody like Ravan is obsessed with feeling happy for himself and in turn is robbing Deva Kanya, Rishi Kanya, Raja Kanya, daughters of kings, daughters of rishis and daughters of devatas in his harem, and that's not happiness. Ravan means he who makes others cry. So it may be happiness for him, but what about others? Prahlad was happy because he was enjoying a deeper sense of happiness, but everyone else was having a tough time in Hiranyakashipu's life. So Dr. Happiness is saying happiness is not just about you feeling good, it is also about how the society feels. And then he says, happy people are more successful because they have better relationships, they are healthier, and they live longer. So this Dr. Happiness is comparing happiness to deeper, meaningful relationships. All the other versions of happiness that we discussed, based on gadgets, based on conquering, based on hunting, the pleasure hunt, based on defending, where does relationships come there? When you're hunting for pleasure, there is no time for relationships. When you're defending yourself against attacks, when you're marking your territory, there is no question of relationships. So, if any time we decide that, yes, I want to invest in relationships, always remember that socks and sweater example. We'll have to go against the flow of this world and tell people, you may evaluate me by the things that I have, but I evaluate myself by how many people I genuinely care for and how many people genuinely care for me. That is my definition of happiness. So, he puts this line straight in his book, Actual Happiness. He says, materialism isn't bad. It's only bad if we use it to replace other things in life. So when the phone becomes more important than the person whom you can connect to using the phone, that's where the problem is. Phone is not a problem. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, one time, this maybe 12, 13 years back, in the US, he attended a very high social event. So this was a $500 per plate dinner charity event. In the West, they have this. In India, we don't do this. There's some social cause, and all the rich people will be invited to have dinner, and the cost will be $500. So roughly equal to 44,000 rupees. So those days it may be 30,000 rupees. 30,000 rupees for one plate of dinner. But what is the advantage? All that money will go to charity. Why is it changing, bro? All that money will go to charity. So His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was invited to one such event where he was requested to speak. So Maharaj, he spoke, but then he heard something that another person was speaking there. And then he spoke in a Sunday feast class in the temple. He said, that person who's an authority, he's like a top-notch entrepreneur in the West, he was saying, the link between increase in salary to increase in happiness is true, but only till a certain point. And that certain point will change from country to country. Basically, when you start getting the ability to purchase the unnecessary necessities of life, it stops. So, basic necessities of life kya hai? Roti, kapda, makan. After that, a little bit more higher standard of roti, kapda, makan, right? After that, it's no longer about roti, it is about it's no longer about makan, it's about some other place where you want to visit. then your house is not really comfortable. Then you need to go on vacations. Right? So start kahan se hua? Roti, kapda, makan. So very interestingly, after a certain point of time, you don't need roti, you need liquids. Solids don't attract you. After some time, your makan becomes boring and you need to go on frequent vacations. Isn't it true? And sometimes you reach a standard of living where wearing clothes becomes a burden. Yes? So roti, kapda and makan is very important in the beginning, and that's why the increase in salary is related to increase in happiness. But after that, the happiness is no longer related to roti, kapda and makan. In fact, it is about giving up roti, kapda and makan. Right? So he was saying there is a direct connection ki money will give you happiness till a certain point of time. After that, once you reach that level, after that happiness does not come by money, because money can't buy friends, money can't buy time, right? That time happiness is based on a genuine feeling of shelter and comfort that you experience in your life, that there are some people in my life who will accept me irrespective of whether I am right or wrong. They will accept me whether I am successful or unsuccessful. But if my friendships are based on the wallet that I have, the success that I have, it gives actually a sense of insecurity. You know, any one of you has been to Dwarka by a train on a yatra? Many years back we organized a yatra, and it's very interesting. The long train goes till Rajkot. And after Rajkot, there are these two routes. One goes to Somnath and one goes to Dwarka. So the train that goes from Bombay, if you book a Somnath ticket, you go into the same train, but the bogie coach is different. And we one time, took a yatra of students, and then they were doing book distribution. And we didn't know the story. Right? So some of them, they went into the Somnath part of the train and they were distributing books. And after Rajkot, those bogies got detached. And then another train, another engine came and they took them to Somnath. So after some time, they started reaching out to them and they said, "Arey, idhar to bogie tha na, hamare do." They said, three coaches, they go to Somnath. And rest of the train, it goes to Dwarka, right? So, till certain point of time, money, the engine of money, will carry the train of happiness. But after some time, the engine of money cannot carry the coaches of happiness. After that, it's more about something deeper. So, very important. The Srimad Bhagavatam, it mentions there are only two kinds of people who are completely happy in this world. Anybody here knows these two people? The Shukdev Goswami's definition. One is the pure devotee, and second is completely crazy. And the Bhagavatam says, anybody who's not these both, he is going to be unhappy. Hari Bol! So if you are here trying to understand the source, the path to happiness, welcome to the journey. I am also there with you. Okay. 5 ways in which we try to get enjoyment. 5 Gyanendriya hai. The eyes, the nose, the tongue, the ears, and the sense of touch. So Sripad Shankaracharya, in his book called Viveka Chudamani, he gives a very nice thought to us, and he's asking a question. So he's saying, Kuranga matanga patanga bhringa meena hatah pancha bhireva pancha. He's giving 5 examples. Kuranga is a deer. Matanga is an elephant. Patanga is a moth. Bhringa is a bumblebee. And meena is a fish. Kuranga, matanga, patanga, bhringa, meena, hataha, panchabhir eva pancha. He's saying all these 5 are killed. All 5 are killed. Panchabhir eva pancha. And then he says, Pramatho sa katham na hanyate yah sevate panchabhir eva pancha. And then he says, these 5 are killed because of one mistake. What is that? The kuranga, the deer, has very weak ears. As soon as there is sweet flute music, the deer is attracted, cannot overcome it, and then he is trapped. The matanga, the elephant, has weak sense of touch. The female elephant will go, rub her body against the male elephant and then go ahead and stand next to a ditch. And the male elephant wants to rub his skin against the female elephant and falls into the ditch and then is starved for 7 days and then he becomes a small rat and says, please give me some food to eat, and is put to work in a circus. Patanga has weak eyes, so there is a flame and he gets attracted to the flame and then gets burnt. And Bhringa is a bumblebee. The bumblebee is attracted to the sense of smell and he goes and sits on a lotus flower, and at night he cannot give up the intoxication of the beautiful fragrance, and the lotus flower closes, and when the lotus flower closes in the evening, then he feels khatam ho gaya life and dies. And the Meena has a weak sense of taste. So he's moving around and suddenly he looks at a worm who winks at him. I want to be eaten by, come. And he goes there and gets caught, right? So he says, this 5, hataha panchabhireva pancha, katham na hanyate pramatho, yah sevate panchabhireva. He says, so if these 5 are hataha, are killed by being weak in one sense, katham na hanyate, how can a human being not be killed if he is weak in all 5? Our eyes are being told, अरे ये नहीं देखा तूने अभी तक? क्या देखा फिर? ये सुना कि नहीं? नहीं सुना? वो खाया कि नहीं? Right? I heard there is something called as bubble tea. Some of you are getting excited. Right? I mean, there are 1,000 things that are, made by some crazy human being, which he thinks is very important for us, and people are telling us, वो नहीं खाया तो क्या खाया फिर? Right? And then the people are saying, वो touch किया क्या? वो नहीं किया touch. फिर क्या किया? I'll give you 5 examples of how these 5 kinds of people died, were killed because of having these 5 senses weak. Kaikeyi had so much love for Ramchandra. When Sita and Ram returned back after marriage, Kaikeyi was staying in one palace gifted to her by Dashrath Maharaj. It was called Kanaka Mahal. Even today it's there in Ayodhya. She saw this beautiful couple, Ram and Sita, come. She had so much love for Ram. She walked out of the palace and said, I can't stay in this palace. This palace is for this newlywed couple. इतना प्रेम है राम के लिए, रहते घर से बाहर आ गई कैकेयी. ये कैकेयी gave her weak ears to somebody who was very poisonous. And that person who wanted to give her living palace to Ram and Sita drove Ram and Sita out of Ayodhya, not just out of the palace. Did not allow her husband to speak. Her husband died. तो इतना poison कहाँ से आया? Weak ear. How many times she heard from Manthara? Actually, the event was once, but she heard multiple times. पहले बार जब उसने बोला ना, छोटा सा ही poison बोला उसने. But she said, अच्छा, और, right? And this way she was completely poisoned. She lost. There is somebody called Kichak. Kichak was the brother of the queen in Virata Pradesh. He set his eyes on Draupadi, who was Sairandri. And he said, I want to touch her. Sairandri went and told Bhim. Bhim said, I'll do the needful. That night, Bhim transformed Kichak into a football. Finished him off. Why did Kichak could be killed only by 2 people, Balram and Bhim. Balram obviously didn't kill. That's how the Kauravas understood the Pandavas must be in Virata Pradesh. How? Kichak ko kaise mara? But how this Kichak got killed? Sense of touch. There was one servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Kala Krishna Das, staying with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 2 years. What a great fortune. This person had weak eyes. He got attracted to a group of women called the Bhattatharis. And his Bhattatharis, they just attracted him. And with his weak eyes, he just got dragged. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, how can you do this? Mahaprabhu had to go all the way. He had to change his plans. Caught hold of his shikha, pulled him back. He said, where are you going in the wrong direction? How can somebody who is a personal associate of the Lord get dragged away with weak eyes? In the Padma Puran, there is a story of a rishi who was doing a lot of tapasya, and Indra got a little bit uncomfortable. So different people can be conquered in different ways. he sent a divine fragrance in that area where he was doing tapasya. And that fragrance just agitated this rishi. He gave up his tapasya and wandered in the direction. And finally, when he reached the place where those beautiful flowers were, Indra told him, see, I took your mind away from the Supreme Lord. And then he understood, he got distracted. So not that all distractions are tamasic. Sometimes we feel, yeah, Prabhu, I don't do all those self-destructive habits. I don't do. I don't smoke. I don't drink. But we could have sattvic distractions also. So we have to be very careful. The path back home, back to Godhead is not very risk-free. There was this very nice rishi called Vibhandak. And this Vibhandak rishi gave birth to a son called Rishaya Shringa. And right from his early birth, he kept him away from females because he wanted his son to be a very nice gentleman. So he didn't have a mother. So he never in his whole life saw a female. There was no question of agitation. But at that time, there was a king called Romapad Maharaj. And Romapad Maharaj had drought in his kingdom for 12-13 years. So somebody told Romapad Maharaj, if this brahmachari, Rishaya Shringa, in his heart, he never had any thought about anything for any female. If this brahmachari comes into your kingdom, the moment he steps on the kingdom, rain will come. Very rare soul, this Rishaya Shringa. So this Romapad Maharaj, he wanted to bring that Rishaya Shringa into his palace. He sent some dancing girls. But if these girls go, they look different, right? The girls look different, they dress different. Rishaya Shringa will run away. He was taught like that Vibhandak Rishi. Vibhandak Rishi in the morning, he would go for tapasya, and during the day, this Rishaya Shringa was alone. This Romapad Maharaj, to lure Rishaya Shringa, he sent these girls in male clothes. So they were dressed as males, and they went, and first they offered some sweets. Now, he looked at them, he felt they look a little bit different. And their voice frequency is a little bit different. It touches something inside. Right? Because male voice, for a male ear, it does not touch something inside. Because kuch to alag hai. But he didn't understand, and he had a weak tongue. So he took those sweets. As soon as he took the sweets, he was trapped. Then they played games with him. And then in the evening he said, you are such nice friends. You brought sweets for me. You played games with me. You know, I want to introduce you to my father. He said, yes, tomorrow. They ran away. In this way, for many, many days, these girls dressed as boys would come. And just by interacting with him, just by giving him some sweets, they trapped him. And one day, they said, would you like to come to our home? He said, you are such nice friends. You care for me. Definitely. They put him on a boat. And they kidnapped him, basically. And then rainfall came. So this is a story of how 5 different personalities are great personalities. All of them are greatly powerful personalities, but all of them, just because one of their senses was weak, they got pulled down. Can you imagine what will happen to us if all our 5 senses are running in all directions? So 7th canto, 9th chapter, shloka number, I think 40 or 41. This is Prahlad Maharaj offering prayers to Narasimhadev. In one of those prayers, he says that, my dear Lord Narasimha, if somebody says, I want to renounce, I don't want to be part of a society of degradation and allurements, but this person has not controlled his senses. If he goes to the forest, it is like going to the forest with 6 wives. He thought he gave up his wife and he wanted to practice detachment and renunciation. And he went to the forest, but he went with 6 uncontrolled senses. He says, this person is like going to the forest with 6 wives. The eyes will pull him to another direction. At that time, the ears will pull him to another direction. The tongue is pulling him to another direction. The sense of touch is pulling him into another direction. In this way, the 5 Gyanendriyas and the king, the mind, will pull. What happens to a person who gets pulled by 6 different wives? In some of your cases, 6 different girlfriends. It would not be a good situation, right? So anybody, he says, who does not control his senses is headed for a disaster. Srila Rupa Goswami, one of our acharyas, he has condensed all advice into 11 shlokas of advice. And the first advice he gives is about control. And you know what is the fruit that he mentions? If you control all this, the fruit is not Vachovegam. The fruit that he says is, Sarvam api prithvim sa shishyat. If you want to become a guru of the entire world, Etan vegan yo vishahet dhira sarvam api prithvim sa shishyat. The whole world will fall at your feet for guidance. Why? Because all you have done is control the 6 urges. Can you imagine this? So all of us would like to become guides to people. थोड़ा मुझे पूछो, मैं guidance देना चाहता हूँ, but Rupa Goswami is saying, guidance does not come by letting the senses loose. Guidance does not come by letting the eyes watch whatever the eyes want you to watch. Guidance does not, wisdom does not come by allowing the ears. वो मालूम है कि नहीं? और वो मालूम है कि उसने क्या किया मालूम है कि नहीं? We feel by hearing everything will become wise. We feel by watching all the movies that are released will become wise. We feel by touching everywhere will become wise. We feel by tasting all kinds of food will become wise. But Rupa Goswami is telling us, you want wisdom to guide the whole planet? You want wisdom to guide the whole world? Control your eyes. Don't watch certain things. Control your ears. Control your tongue. Control the sense of touch. I'll ask you a question and I'll request one of you to volunteer for the answer. A good car is defined by a good accelerator or by a good brake? Both, right? Now, sitting in that car, now I'm asking you, chalo abhi chalte hain fast. How many of you will ask me, Prabhu ji, accelerator badhiya hai na? And how many of you will ask me, Prabhu ji, brake अच्छा है ना? How many of you will, when I, चलो अभी बहुत फास्ट कार है, चलो अभी भगाते हैं. How many of you will say, प्रभु जी, accelerator बढ़िया है ना? हाथ ऊपर कीजिए. Good, honestly. How many of you will say, प्रभु जी, ब्रेक अच्छा है ना? How much is the ratio? Can anybody tell me? How much is the ratio? How much? So, at least I can say 6 or 7 times people are saying, प्रभु जी, accelerator तो दबाना ही है. Distance अगर cover करना है तो accelerator तो दबा. It's part of life. Press. The more important question is, when I want to stop, will it stop? Because if the car does not stop when I want it to stop, I may not reach my destination. I may reach some another destination. So a good car is definitely based on good accelerator, but a good car is not defined by good accelerator. A good car is defined by good brakes. Now all of you are so intelligent. You have chosen to hear on this strange topic called JOMO, but I'm honestly, I'm appreciating you. I'm sharing with you in your life. If you want to actually travel to the destination of success, please never check the accelerator of your car. Please always check the brakes of your eyes, your tongue, your ears. This is what Rupa Goswami is saying. He's our friend. He's our well-wisher. So when some guide of ours tells us, don't watch it, not good for you. Don't eat it, not good for you. Don't see it, don't hear it, not good for you. Sometimes we feel this person himself has joined the brahmacharya ashram. He himself does not know how to enjoy. Now he's spoiling my life. आपको किसने बोला ब्रह्मचर्य आश्रम ज्वाइन करने के लिए? आप तो खुद कर नहीं सकते ये सब. अभी हमारी जिंदगी को रुइन मत कीजिए. नो प्रभु, that's not the point. The point is, don't waste life eating, hearing, watching, tasting and touching unnecessary things. It can lead to severe disaster. So, there are different kinds of pleasures. I'll speed up a little bit. There are sensual pleasures. What is the ease with which you can get sensual pleasures? कितना easy मिलते हैं? अरे बस वो तो नुक्कड़ पे मिलते हैं. A more little bit difficult than that are the mental pleasures. Good music. You don't get good music very easily. A little bit deeper than that are intellectual pleasures. The pleasure of being so intelligent that I can solve a riddle. I can solve a crossword puzzle. I can solve a riddle that nobody else can solve. Okay? So more deeper than sensual is mental pleasure, good music, etc. More deeper is intellectual pleasure, which is about the ability to solve complex problems. More deeper than that is egoistic pleasure. When I speak, everyone listens. right? That's an egoistic pleasure. And much deeper than sensual, mental, intellectual, egoistic pleasure is something which the Bhagavatam and the Gita talks about as spiritual pleasure. So check out 7.4, 7.5 in the Gita. It mentions this gradation. So the difference between the first four pleasures and spiritual pleasure is the first four pleasures can be achieved. Depends on how much money you have, depends on how much strength you have. The last pleasure, spiritual pleasure, cannot be achieved. The last pleasure, spiritual pleasure, is rewarded. It is received. It is not achieved. See, something that you can achieve, it only depends on your capacity to spend and achieve it. आप स्विट्जरलैंड में वेकेशन पे जाएंगे, आप मालदीव्स में जाएंगे, कैसे? डिपेंड्स ऑन द मनी इन दैट बैंक अकाउंट. Spiritual pleasure is not achieved. Spiritual pleasure cannot be purchased. Spiritual pleasure is received from a higher source. And that's what makes spiritual pleasure a little difficult. No matter what you do, the dead objects are not going to defend themselves when you want to enjoy them. But when we are talking of spiritual pleasure, we are not talking about an object, we are talking about a living personality. When you are dealing with a spiritual object, for instance, God, for instance, your spiritual guide or your spiritual master, they are not dead objects, na? So you cannot tell them, I want pleasure from you, nikalo. Because they're a living person, Krishna is a living person, the spiritual master is a living person, your guide is a living person, you will have to take into account, how can I behave in such a way? How can I talk in such a way? How can I deal in such a way that this person is not offended and this person becomes happy on me? But I'll speak a little bit about the person whom we are trying to please. When somebody donates money and when somebody receives money, who is called magnanimous, or in Sanskrit, udara? You heard the word udara? So who is called udar, the receiver or the giver? The giver. अरे क्या उदार व्यक्ति है, ये दे रहा है, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, 15th or 16th verse, these are the four kinds of people who don't accept the Supreme Lord and the four kinds of people who accept the Supreme Lord. The four kinds of people who accept the Supreme Lord are called, four categories by Krishna. First is the person who seeks relief from pain. बहुत दुख दर्द है जीवन में, तो he comes to Krishna. Second person, he is wanting financial relief from Krishna. Financial gain. लक्ष्मीपति है, लक्ष्मी जी को बोल दो थोड़ा सोने के सिक्के इधर डाले. Third category is who want answers from Krishna, because Krishna is very wise. In a matter of 2 minutes, he answered the questions of Arjun, which had paralyzed him, with the greatest knowledge. तो बहुत अकलमंद है, अपना सब सवालों के जवाब उनके पास है. And the fourth category of people, Krishna says, those who know who Krishna is and they approach him. Now, these four kinds of people, two are selfish. I would say three are selfish. One person wants relief from distress. One person wants financial gain and one person wants answers. Only one person is selfless and he is approaching Krishna in knowledge, Jnani. But Krishna in 7.18 or 19 says, Udara sarva evaite. He says all these four people are Udara. Who's the giver? They are coming to Krishna. So who's the giver? Krishna. And who's the receiver? The four kinds of people. So who should be called Udara? Krishna. But Krishna is calling, ye charo log bahut udar hai. So now the question comes, how is the receiver Udar? How many of you would like to know how come Krishna is calling the receiver as Udar? When three of them are selfish. Krishna is saying, actually, I have been trying out to reach out to these souls for millions of years. In different species of life, I was there next to them in the form of Paramatma, but they never looked in my direction. So I was looking for a chance. How to connect to this person? How to connect to this person? How to connect to this person? Today, that problem has been solved. This personality, by coming to me for financial gain, this personality, by coming to me for distress, this person, by coming to me for seeking a solution to his questions, has donated to me the opportunity to re-establish my long-lost relationship with him. जो रिश्ता इन्होंने मेरे साथ तोड़ा था, जो रिश्ता इन्होंने कभी मेरे साथ जोड़ने की कोशिश नहीं की, जो रिश्ता मैं सदियों से इनके साथ पुनः जोड़ने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं, वो रिश्ता जोड़ने की एक संभावना जागृत हो गई है, क्योंकि इसको मेरे से पैसे चाहिए और मैं इसको पैसे दे दूंगा। पैसे कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, लेकिन क्योंकि मैं इसको पैसे दूंगा, इसको लगेगा कि कृष्ण अच्छा व्यक्ति है तो ये मेरे साथ रिश्ता जोड़ेगा। क्या डोनर है आप? So, when we understand this person who's playing the flute is calling all of us who approach him with utter selfishness as udar. Why? Because he's not looking at what we are asking. He's looking at the chance, the probability of re-establishing our relationship with Krishna. He is saying he is the biggest one. Udara sarva evaite. Not the fourth one. All four one. This person is the most sensitive person. This person is the most caring person. This person is the most warm-hearted person. This person is the most concerned person. And because we are talking about JOMO, we'll shift to how Krishna is also enjoying JOMO. In the Gita, he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam. I am the proprietor of everything. I am the controller of everything. And I am the enjoyer of everything. But in this Leela that is there, Damodar Leela that happened in this month, what does Krishna do? Krishna says, I don't want to show myself as a controller. I don't want to show myself in the Virat Rupa. Most people, they are impressed by Krishna in that Virat Rupa, right? You don't know Adirna, Madhyana, Anta. Arjuna is describing, I cannot see the beginning, the middle and the end. How does Krishna want to advertise himself? One is how we want to see Krishna. And how is, Krishna, how do you want to advertise yourself? What is Krishna saying, Virat Rupa or Damodar Leela? Bolo, sach mein bolo? In how many temples of ISKCON or any other temple you have seen Virata Rupa festival going on for 1 month? No? The mighty power. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. Every single soldier on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, 64 crore people were killed in 18 days. All of them went into moths into the fire. Or rivers entering the ocean. These are two analogies that are given in the 11th chapter of the Gita. How does Krishna want to advertise himself? He says, I don't want to enjoy as a controller, as a proprietor, and as the source of everything. I have given up all that. I want to experience the joy of missing out. I want to experience JOMO. So please capture a photograph of me as I am being threatened by Yashoda Mai. Karega, chori karega वापस? And Krishna has Atanka Netram. Atankavadi suna kabhi? Atankavadi is a terrorist. Atanka means terror. There is a terror in the eyes of the supreme controller. Why? Because if Yashoda Mai, the most caring person for me, gets angry on me, what is life meant for then? There is one story in which Krishna and Balaram and all his cowherd boyfriends were playing games. And Rohini Devi says, Balaram, it's your birthday, come back. Balaram does not pay much attention. Rohini goes to Yashoda and says, he's my child, but your calling is so much filled with love, he can't refuse it. So Rohini's child is Balaram, Balaram's birthday, Rohini calls, he does not respond. Rohini goes to Yashoda and says, you call out to Balaram, he will respond because you have so much love in your heart. And Yashoda says, Balaram, it's your birthday, come home. Balaram and Krishna drop it and come home. And that time the friends threaten Krishna and Balaram, if you drop this game midway and run away, tomorrow no more gildi danda with us. And Krishna says, don't do this. Aisa mat karna. Right? So Krishna is somebody who does not want to let go of the chance to play gilli danda with his friends, does not want to let go of the most caring and the most loving mother, Yashoda. And for that he is willing to capture himself in a photograph for eternity saying, Atanka Netram. How did Yashoda Mai bind him? Yashoda Mai did not bind him with a rope. Sthita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Baddham. Yashoda Mai captured Krishna with the rope of her selfless love. So Krishna is saying, Are chodo wo power, chodo wo Aishwarya, chodo itne sab Brahmand. मुझे तो केवल रिलेशनशिप रखना है यशोदा माई से, मुझे तो केवल रिलेशनशिप रखना है अपने दोस्तों से, मुझे तो केवल रिलेशनशिप रखना है गोपियों से. एंड सद न पारये हम. In the Gita he says, ye yathamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyam. As you surrender to me, I reciprocate accordingly. To the gopis he says, sorry, I cannot reciprocate with you. The supreme absolute truth lied in the Gita. Why? He says, I cannot reciprocate. That Krishna, who is the source of everything, in Damodar Leela, in the month of Kartik, is telling all of us, आप सब लोग बहुत बड़े donors हैं. आप लोग मंदिर में आए, मुझे दीप दिखाया, and all of you have today started a process in which I can restart establishing my relationship with you. So this Krishna is advertising the highest JOMO to all of us. So thank you very much. There are many things to speak, but last example from my side is, what is the instrument that Krishna plays with? The characteristic instrument of Krishna. The flute. So the flute is actually a bamboo and there is a lot of pulp inside. But the flute, the bamboo piece says, if I can become light so that Krishna can pick me with his gentle fingers and can actually play. A heavy bamboo, who will lift? And how can Krishna with his gentle fingers, you see those fingers, the gentle fingers? It will be difficult for him to pick up a bamboo flute. So the bamboo flute allows itself to become hollow. All of us are attached to our attachments, but the bamboo flute piece says, I'm okay to let go of my conceptions. I'm available for letting go of my ideas. Everyone is stuffing their ideas into my brain. Aisa kar, khush hoga. But I want to let go. And then somebody picks up and says, all other bamboo sticks are quite heavy, but you bamboo stick is quite light. You are fit for a flute, but to become not just light, what is required in a flute? Just less weight? No. What else is required? Some holes are required. That's very painful. So first qualification to become a flute of a bamboo stick is they have to made a hollow and they become light, and then Krishna can pick. But after that also you can't play, then you have to punch holes. So that is a time when that second challenge comes. Are you willing to undergo difficult situations in life which are almost like punching holes in you? But if you focus on Krishna's lips, Adharamrita, if you want the nectar that flows from Krishna's lips, if you want to touch Krishna's lips, then you just don't have to become light. It's not just enough to let go of your misconceptions and wrong ideas about physical, sensual enjoyment. The second test is you have to allow yourself to get punched by holes, which are extremely painful, difficult situations, but you go through them by remembering the Adharamrita of Krishna. And when a bamboo piece allows itself two things, one is make it hollow, let go of our misconceptions, let go of all the propaganda that we heard from the whole world. And second is, even if spiritual life is full of challenges, we'll never ever give up chanting. We'll never ever give up our sadhana. We'll never ever give up our association. We will attend every single yatra, even though it causes a lot of turmoil in our lives. If we allow the flute maker to go through two changes, one is making hollow and then punching holes into it, then we become a perfect Venu to be picked up by Krishna. And then Krishna can play using us, and very sweet music can come out of our selves. And then when people hear from us, people say, आप बहुत मीठा बोलते हैं. लेकिन वो मीठा बोलने के लिए दो चीज करनी पड़ेगी. But after that, when you speak, then people say, when this person speaks, it can be a Mataji, it can be a Prabhuji, it can be a sannyasi. But when this person speaks, it touches the heart. You know why? Because now that person has allowed himself to become hollow of all the misconceptions and is ready to go through different hardships and difficult times. Why? To become a flute in the hands of Krishna. So the flute is also another example. So Krishna himself is JOMO, and he likes instruments also like JOMO. So all of us, today we can pray to Krishna, my dear Krishna, you are so much focused on the essence. You are so much never distracted by the externalities. And I would also like to become something close to a flute, that very sweet music comes out of my mouth, and never ever harsh sounds come out of my mouth, and let me inspire others, let me touch people's hearts, so that all of the people whom I come in touch in this month of Kartik can offer themselves to you, and you can use them for spreading this, the song of love that you want to share with all of us. So thank you very much. With these few words, I'll stop here and over to the organizers back.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. We are proud of our IOS devotees, Prabhuji. They don't miss any opportunity to come to temple. So let us thank all of you by loudly chanting 3 times. Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol. And in this auspicious Kartik month, in front of Shri Radha Gopinath ji, Srila Prabhupada, and the Vaishnavas, we are very fortunate to hear from His Grace Nand Dulal Prabhu. And he really wonderfully explained how we can be the part of mission of Srila Prabhupada and become really happy. So let us thank His Grace Nand Dulal Prabhu by loudly chanting 3 times. Hare Bol, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. One of the point which touched me a lot was Bhakti Baddham, how the Krishna was captured by the Bhakti of Mother Yashoda. Similarly, our devotees are doing wonderful devotional service. So one of the things we want to highlight today is, today's prasad has been sponsored by KEM devotees, alumni of the KEM devotees, alumni. His Grace Nand Dulal Prabhu is been visiting KEM college and hostel and preaching there. And many have become devotees, and out of gratitude, they have sponsored, they have contributed towards today's prasadam. So let us thank them by loudly chanting 3 times. Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol.
I will call the request. Anybody has come from KEM?
As anyone has come from KEM here?
Yeah, come.
Yeah, please come. So we have a very special gift for them. And the gift
Anybody
is,
else from KEM has come? Okay, come.
so we request His Grace Nand Dulal Prabhu to give a very special photo how the Lord Krishna has been bound by love of Mother Yashoda. So this is the right photo to give them a gift.
So, yeah, these are devotees from KEM Medical College, and I request all of you to kindly pray for them, that they can also become very wonderful instruments, and they can become beautiful flutes in the hands of Gopinath.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. So we have some important announcements now. Today's services have been rendered by many devotees. The morning sabji cutting has been done by the IOS devotees guided by Krishna Gaur Prabhu. Hare Bol. Evening services have been performed by IOS boys guided by His Grace Pradyumna Mishra Prabhu and His Grace Venugopal Prabhu. Hare Bol. We also want to welcome the newcomers, those who have come for first time, जो पहली बार आए आज प्रेरणा में. Kindly stand up at your place. अपनी जगह पे खड़े हो सकते हैं. Those who have come for first time. So you are the first class persons coming for first time here. So let us welcome these wonderful devotees by loudly chanting 3 times. Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol. So we pray at the lotus feet of Shri Radha Gopinath ji, Shri Gopal ji and Gaur Nitai that you keep coming to this auspicious place, holy place, and keep inspiring each other. Thank you. Hare Krishna. And now a very special announcement. As you are aware, this time one of the movies has become the very much special, Mahavir, Mahavatar, Narsimha. And inspired by that, all of the IOS devotees and the preacher have decided next year, second week of February, mostly we are going to Ahobilam Dham.
7 temples of Narsimha. 7 temples.
There are 7 temples of Lord Narsingadev there, and we'll be having His Grace Nand Dulal Prabhu also, Gaurang Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Prabhu, Baldev Prabhu, so many IVS preachers, senior devotees. So make sure you come and you also inspire others. Hare Krishna. So now we have like 5-10 minutes there. If someone has any question, you can raise your hand. We can have 1 or 2 questions. किसी का कुछ प्रश्न है तो हाथ ऊपर कर सकते हैं. The most important question will be Prasad will be always there. So anyone has any question, you can raise. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, like you said, in order to get success, in order to reach our destination, we have to control our 6 senses. So how to control that? Because it is very much difficult to control any one also. So
Yes.
how to control all that 6?
Very practical and very application based question. Thank you for asking this question. See, there was one genie, and this genie one time got triggered. One person, he picked up an old lamp, he rubbed it, the genie came out. Genie was very powerful. This genie said, give me some task. I'm very powerful. So he said, I want a big bungalow for myself. The big bungalow. Then he said, give me another task. So he said, Hare, big bungalow, I thought sometime he will take it, it happened in 1 month. So I want a big car. Big car. Give me another task. So give me a huge feast. Big feast. Give me another task. So he's saying, bungalow, car, feast. Roti, kapda, makan. It happened in 3 moments. And he's saying, give me a task. तो भी क्या टास्क देने का और क्या पूछने का? Then he said, take me to a forest. Give me another task. So he realized more than the benefit that he's causing more anxiety. Right? So now what to do with this genie? काम का है वो? उसको बोलेंगे भाग जा. I don't want to see your face. So then lot of benefits lost. But if he does not give him a task, then give me a task, give me a task. So he's harassing him. So finally, you know what he said? How will you deal with this genie? और क्या मांगेंगे उसको? Give me all the beautiful clothes in the world. 1,000 pairs of clothes. Now give me a task. What will you do? So he told him, he didn't tell him that. So he told him, this is a ladder. इसके ऊपर चढ़ना, ऊपर जाने का तो उतरना, नीचे आके चढ़ना, उतरना. And if I want something else, I'll tell you. Understood? So he made him climb up and down, and then he told, if I need anything else, I'll tell you. You don't have to harass me. So he kept climbing up and down. और जब उसको लगेगा तो बोला, इधर आ, ये चाहिए, अभी वापस. Right? So our mind and our senses are something like this genie, very powerful, very strong, but many times instead of benefiting us, they harass us. So what do you have to do to that genie? You have to give him a proper task. So हमारा मन है ना वो genie जैसा है. बोला क्या बोलूं, क्या सोचूं? तो उसको बोलने का एक लैडर है, लैडर, वो लैडर है मेरे पास एक. This very beautiful ladder. You tell the genie of the mind to go from here, then when you reach here, you go here. Right? In this way, the genie of the mind can be conquered. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. You have to keep the genie busy. If you tell the genie, Prabhu, don't do anything, he will harass you. Right? Sankalpa and Vikalpa. बोला ये करो, ये क्यों करूं? अच्छा ठीक है वो करो, वो क्यों करूं? दोनों मत कर, दोनों क्यों नहीं करूं? So finally you understand, I am the fool here who's answering your questions. Right? He makes it appear that you are intelligent and he is asking questions to you. Then you realize, वो question पूछना तो बहाना है, आपको busy रखना है आपको. You are the fool. So you have to give the mind genie this ladder. Say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Give positive engagement to the mind. If you don't give positive engagement, it will chant so many film songs which have no use.
Yes, Rohit. Got it. Thank you.
Engage your eyes in seeing the beautiful form of Krishna. Tribhanga Sundar, Sham Sundar. Engage your tongue in always speaking something constructive. even if it's not direct glorification of Krishna, but something constructive, something that will help him, not to hurt him. At least can we start from there? Today onwards, I'll speak only things which can benefit, uplift, encourage somebody, but never to take out mental blood. Speaking in such a way that, your face becomes like a flower that is about to crumple down. Why should we speak like that? Yeah? So, we use our eyes to see beautiful forms, we use our tongue to speak beautiful things, taste beautiful things, hear such nice, inspiring things, right? Nobody is talking about control. Is there anybody else in Bombay who is talking about controlling the senses? Any newspaper, any magazine, any college article? It is only the mercy of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who first time gave this concept that when we serve our senses, this concept itself was very new for when I first time heard it, I said, what was that? I thought I was enjoying my senses. Prabhupada says, no, we are serving our senses. वो मालिक है, मेरी आंखें मुझे खींच रही है, मैं अब मेरी आंखों को नहीं खींच रहा. It took lot of time for me to understand. I have been serving my eyes, I have been serving my tongue, I have been serving my ears. I thought I was using my ears. I was using my eyes. It is only the honesty of somebody like Srila Prabhupada that has brought all of us under one roof, and we are openly discussing, don't become a servant of your senses. This language you cannot speak out of 7 km Munshi Marg. Outside the campus of this temple, if you speak, don't serve your senses, तो जिंदगी में रहा क्या? One disciple of Srila Prabhupada, we won't name him, but Prabhupada was speaking about control of the senses. And this person, he said, if this is not there, फिर जिंदगी में रहा क्या करके? So Prabhupada said, no, you don't understand. When your hand has garbage, right, and you want to accept something valuable, you can't accept it. So to accept something valuable, first you have to drop the garbage. And when you drop the garbage, then your hand becomes empty to receive something great. So Prabhupada said, I am not asking you to let go. I am asking you to receive. But to receive something valuable, you have to let go. And then he understood. It was very, sweet the way he spoke, in a very jerky way. तो फिर जिंदगी में बचा क्या? Prabhupada said, जिंदगी में बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन वो सुनने के लिए, समझने के लिए, देखने के लिए, स्पर्श करने के लिए थोड़ा खाली रखना पड़ेगा. That's the joy of missing out.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. So thank you to everyone for this wonderful exchange of devotional service. So now we'll be having ecstatic kirtan. So all of you can stand up and please dance in circles. You can make groups and together we can chant and dance. Hare Krishna.
So I'll request just 2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes?
Yeah. You can be standing, not a problem. How have we danced in different programs till now? How do young boys dance in different programs till now? In a very crazy way, awkward way, and sometimes ugly also, right? Can we all agree to miss the joy of dancing in an ugly way and actually dance in a way to please Krishna and to please Srila Prabhupada? Can we all join our hands and dance very attractively in circles?